Every big business begins with a small idea and someone brave enough to start. Today, more and more young people are launching their own ventures before even finishing school. In this short documentary, we meet entrepreneurs from Estonia and Belgium, people who turned their ideas into real businesses and who are ready to share their best advice for future founders. Before meeting the entrepreneurs, we wanted to understand whether young entrepreneurship students in Estonia and Belgium have ever thought about creating their own business.
Yes, I have.
Yes, I have. I actually have one.
No, I haven't because I think it's like too risky.
What do you think is necessary to create a successful business?
I think you need to have the courage to start a business. You also need social skills and financial freedom.
I think it's experience that you need. You gain experience by making mistakes, so you can't really be a professional when you start a business. You learn it by doing it.
I need to have confidence of my project and a little bit support of my friends.
At first you need a great business idea, then you need to put in a lot of hard work. And I think it's also very important to pick the team that you work with. And of course you need to have the cash flows balanced.
Now that we've heard what the students think, let's meet the entrepreneurs in Estonia and Belgium and discover the stories behind their boldest ideas. What motivated you to start your first company at a young age?
So the step into the business world was actually without any motivation. It was just a momentum that built it up. And there was actually somebody that believed in my abilities. So at the age of 17, I had no background. I was a high school dropout. He came to me, said like, you have an ability to do something. I didn't believe in him. I was like, what do I have in me? The second conversation we had, he said, let's do something. I was okay, it's your call, let's do it. And then we started out, we built up skills, we built up the momentum, searched about AI, trying to find the best fit. And it wasn't a question of starting a business. It was just too stupid to not start a business because you have an amazing product that you can provide to clients and stuff.
That's an interesting question because I started my company when I was 38, so I wasn't young actually. But when I was young, your age, then we had to build up our country, Estonia. So I was young in 1994 and this is when Estonia regained its independence. So we could call Estonia as a company, so my generation actually built up a country.
Yeah, I think it's also something I've been kind of dreaming about for a long time. And I had a couple other jobs. At some point I always felt like frustrated that I couldn't do what I thought was important and do something that was mine. And I thought also the upside was bigger if I would do it for myself. And it's more like you feel more ownership, more motivation. And I thought I could do a good job.
Looking back, what would you have done differently?
When I started my career, I had a lot of questions like what is the entrepreneurship, how do you actually start doing things, and maybe I had this idea that you need to learn a lot before you're going to start doing things. I think the reality is the smart thing is to start doing, start learning, start talking to the customers, start solving real problems, and there's never a good time to start a business. It's the thing what is a process and fun for you to do, and then I think you're going to learn on the way.
Absolutely nothing. I would keep everything same. All the failures I've been through, I would keep everything the same. Because that builds spine, and to build a business you need some character to it. You need to be stress tolerant, you need to go through everything. But obviously at this age, if I saw my younger self at the age of 18 or something, I would have gone to him and said, everything is going to be okay. You just have to trust your vision.
If I look back, I would have changed the pace with which I try to validate my idea. So I was a developer myself, I studied computer science, so we developed a lot of the things before we actually knew that was something that other people wanted as well. And in the beginning that was a small mistake that didn't cost us that much, but in the end we made a mistake where we developed 6 months on a software that in the end we couldn't get sold to people because it was not what they wanted and the market was not ready for it, and also they didn't have the money to pay for it. So we spent quite some time on that, and that's something I definitely would change, specifically because now it's so much easier to create prototypes also from digital products, even if you cannot program, so it became much easier to do that.
Well, my company was called Funderbeam. It was renamed to VentureBeam by now, and we built like a stock market for startup companies so that the investors could invest to companies and they could later trade with the investments across the world. We were 10 years ahead of time and 10 years ahead of market. So if I would do something differently, I would start the company maybe 5 years later. And the other thing, what they say is that you hire for skills, you fire for attitude. So sometimes you need to make decisions of letting somebody go so much faster because we are startups, and the companies, they have limited time and limited resources, and it's not about the person or his or her skills, it's just that the company and the skill set don't match.
I would do a lot of things differently. The main thing was not like over investing too much in the idea before you get real customers. It's really tricky to not kind of think you have a great idea, have so much motivation, and you go all in on an idea and you start building stuff. But actually the art and what really great founders do is they manage to find people that want to pay for their product with real money and sign contracts while they actually don't have anything yet. And so that really allows you to know if it's even a great thing to be doing.
What advice would you give to students who want to start their business today?
Well, first of all, for young people to start a company, it has pros and cons. The pros, for example, are energy, the eagerness, the power to go through the walls, to fight, to really execute. The cons maybe is the experience, and actually not every single wall needs to be gone through. But otherwise, my advice would be like, we have a saying in Estonian that 9 times measure, 1 time cut. Talk to chat, talk to Gemini, read reports, ask questions, talk to people, and when you're really sure that, okay, I'm gonna do it, then go in and don't hesitate.
I would say start today, start small, trust the vision, find somebody you can trust, keep on asking advice to people, don't be scared to talk about it, ask anything that you have in your mind, make your idea great, find something that's not a nice to have, but a must have that will really fix a real world scenario. Go towards your vision.
If students want to start a business today, my advice is to just start with something. Most things to start with is try to validate whether the idea you have in mind is really solving the problem of a specific target audience. We see a lot of students that don't have an idea yet, and there I would say talk to many people from industry as well that might have problems where you can create a solution for them. If you cannot find an idea yourself, a good solution might also be to try to hook up with someone who already has an idea and is looking for a specific profile like you.
I think there's a couple of things what I see quite a lot is that people start to think about the processes of business and the way they want to build a product or service. I think it's kind of opposite what you should do. You should start talking to the customers and trying to figure out what type of problems to solve and talk as many people as possible. And if you figure out there's a lot of people who want to get this kind of imaginary change in their life, what you're kind of projecting, then you can go and actually build that thing instead of building a process and then learning that this is useless and people don't need that.
I didn't start a business when I was a student or just out of university. Some people manage to do it. I think it's quite tricky. It's kind of like trying to become an Olympic swimmer in your first swimming lesson, in my opinion, a little bit. I always lean a bit more towards getting a bit of experience first. The most important thing that you can do is learning, talking to people, getting to know them, building a network. You cannot do anything alone in this world. So make connections and be useful to other people. Talk to them about what you're doing, get their feedback. Use the internet for knowledge. For example, there's Y Combinator, which has amazing, if you want to do software, which has amazing resources about how to build a startup. They give you all this advice on free on YouTube. You can find on YouTube lessons on entrepreneurship from Harvard, from all these universities talking about so many things from people that have built amazing companies.
Do you think the environment for young entrepreneurs in your country is supportive?
Oh yeah, I think environment in Europe or Estonia is actually amazing in many ways. We have so many opportunities here, so much access to kind of good ideas, interesting people, capital. There's actually quite a lot of problems which are solvable today with technology. So I do think that there is amazing time to actually build a business.
Yes and no. I mean, if you look at Belgium as a whole, I would say no. But the city that I live in Ghent, you have amazing communities and organizations like Windcircus that I'm in right now as a campus startup member here. I have a lot of support here. I can talk to people, ask for advice. But my biggest struggle was, as a young entrepreneur, I could never imagine to ask the government or find an organization at a young age that they would accept me, because I was at the age of 17, 18, and a government wouldn't help me or an organization because I'm too young. So just make it more accessible, I think, for the governments or at schools teaching.
Yes, Absolutely, I do, because young people in Estonia, we have this student entrepreneurship program. We have quite many studies and classes in schools. It takes basically minutes to set up a company. So in Estonia, you, as an entrepreneur, you focus on business instead of administration and operations. We have so many role models. We have young, super successful global entrepreneurs, naming the founders of Bolt, Markus Villig, or Veriff, Karel Kotkas. It's just the whole world is ours.
Yes, I think Belgium, Flanders, and the city specifically is very supportive towards student entrepreneurs, because in Belgium we have a special fiscal status for students who want to combine their studies with entrepreneurship, so that they do not have to pay full social service taxes. So they get a little bit benefits to combine them. In a similar way that you can do a student job as a student, they have the same benefits if you do this by yourself and if you are self-employed, and that is something that's really beneficial in Belgium.
How can schools, governments, or communities better help young entrepreneurs?
For the young entrepreneurs, what the schools can do or the governments can do or anybody around them is actually to get off the way. Let the young entrepreneurs go crazy. Let them do whatever they want to do. If female young entrepreneurs, they want to develop a new spaceship, let them do it. Just get off the way.
I don't believe in it. I think you need to help yourself. If you're an entrepreneur, you don't need to look at anyone else to help you. Yeah, because otherwise, what's the value? You know, if everybody just gets something for nothing as a part of some sort of program that you paid for. We have a guy here that started a company when he was a student already, giving AI coaching to companies. Nobody told him to do it, he just did it. He did it end to end and he learned so much. I don't think he got super rich from it, but he is a great guy. It just proves who he is. It's not about what you do, it's about who you are.
Student entrepreneurs, I think they can be best supported with people being willing to give them honest feedback on their questions when they try to validate solutions, but also by giving them chances, by believing in them, even if they haven't proven themselves yet. Often the student entrepreneurs, they are young, they don't have a track record, they haven't worked at another company before, or at least not in a very business type function. And I think we need to give them chances as a community, as a society. I think government specifically, it's good that they have the special fiscal status, for example, to promote it, so that the step towards student entrepreneurship is as low as to getting a student job themselves.
I think schools need to teach students, not in theory but in practice, how they can start a business. Like, not bringing a guy who didn't have any business background, but finding somebody who has a business background and teaching and learning from them. Don't expect them to help you at every time, because at the first stages people are going to think that you're delusional. And so I wouldn't say depend on governments and stuff. Just grab opportunities, but don't depend on people.
I think entrepreneurship is a weird thing. It's not like a typical thing what you learn in school, but like the thing what helps a lot is interacting with the people who have done it before. Entrepreneurs currently are successful or trying to figure out what's happening. So creating this kind of environments is probably the most useful thing to do. Like for myself, I went through the school, didn't learn a lot about entrepreneurship, but when I start meeting people who are like successful in my country or in the world, then I kind of learned what is it about, and it's like solving problems and having fun, and like what are the actual kind of key areas where you should focus on, like what is the revenue and like what's the customer happiness. So if you figure these things out, then you actually have like quite a big chance for success, because this experience is super useful. So creating environments, bringing entrepreneurs into your schools, creating simplified versions where you can start a business. I think, and maybe more importantly, is that creating a culture where failure is okay, because everybody fails once in a while. If you try new things, you will fail. So if you have an environment where you think about failure as somebody tried to do something and at that particular time it wasn't successful, but they will come back and build it again, then I think that's the best thing what you can do.
Now that we've heard from the professionals, it is time to hear from us, students from Gustav Adolfi Grammar School who have also launched our own student startups. Here's what we've learned along the way. Think big, Aim high. Great opportunities don't just appear out of the blue. You create them.
When creating your product or service, try to talk to as many entrepreneurs or CEOs as possible because they might have great insights or ideas how to develop your business even further and make it more successful.
You don't need a perfect product. You need perfect marketing. That's what gets people to notice you in the first place.
Just like the entrepreneurs we just met, we learned that success doesn't come overnight. It comes from passion, resilience, and believing in yourself. Across borders, young students share the same drive to create, to learn, and to build something meaningful. So, if you've got an idea, don't wait. Start now.